Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. I'm your brother in faith, Shabir Ally, speaking with you from the Muslim Media Hub. This Ramadan, we're dealing with faith and doubts, 30 big questions about belief. The question for us today is religion anti-science? Let's deal with that. So in a previous discussion, we talked about evolution and how to show that religion is compatible with the belief in the theory of evolution. Basically, we said that instead of speaking of natural selection, we speak of divine selection. Instead of speaking about a blind process of incremental changes, we'll think of divine supervision of the whole process. So it's not creation versus evolution, but it is creation by means of evolution. So now let's look more broadly at the question of whether there is an inherent incompatibility between religion and science, or whether or not they are actually two different dimensions of a holistic existence of our human reality. Stephen Jay Gould, a scientist who is an evolutionist himself, wrote a book entitled The Rocks of the Ages, in which he said that the two can actually be perceived as two separate realms. On the one hand, we have religion, which has been guiding people regarding morality, regarding direction of life and meaning and purpose in life. And on the other hand, we have science, which describes the physical things, though it gives us technology and it gives us so many benefits in terms of health and so on. Science cannot guide us with regards to morality, with regards to meaning and purpose in life and so on. So the two go hand in hand. There are two rocks on which we rest the foundation of our whole human enterprise. So the one rock is the magisterium, or the teaching authority that comes from religion, and the other rock is the solid foundation of science on which our thinking and our understanding rests. So the two should be going hand in hand. I think that's a perfect way of putting it, that the two go hand in hand. What is it that science lacks that religion can provide? Science proceeds by observation, and there are some things that cannot be observed, but that does not mean that the things do not exist. The human mind cannot be observed. Actually, we cannot put the human mind under a microscope. We can study the human brain, but the human mind seems to go beyond the human brain. In the previous discussion, we talked about human beings being more than matter. More to be focused on the present discussion now, think of the human mind. Okay, so I have a mind, I believe, and I believe that you also have a mind. But you know what? I could not prove that you have a mind, and you could not prove that I have a mind. It's just something that I know I have a mind, and you know you have a mind. And I know also, I just suppose that you also have a mind as I have a mind by, an analogy. I think that you're like me, and therefore you have a mind as well. But we couldn't actually prove it. And so this is one example of a thing that we know to exist, but we could not actually prove it. So science could not observe everything, and not every truth falls under scientific investigation. When we speak of science, usually we think of the natural sciences, we think of chemistry, we think of biology, and so on. But there are some other areas of study which are useful to us, informative, but they don't fall under science. It's not something we can study in a laboratory. Take history, for example. History is a field of study and endeavor that we have to learn from. We have to know the history in order to know our present and future. In order to understand what's happening now and think about what's going to happen in the future, we need to see the cycles of history. But who's going to teach us about history? It is not the scientist, but it is the historian. And so we have here a field of inquiry that is outside the realm of science. Now, there is the science of economics, which is generally people don't call it a science, but we can say this is an area of study. Economics help us to govern our economies, to run our countries, even to budget in our homes with the little income we have and the expenditures that we must meet out. This is an area of inquiry that's outside the realm of science. It's not something that we can study within a laboratory. It doesn't fall under biology or chemistry or physics, and yet it is important for us. So not all areas of human learning and knowledge will fall under the scientific enterprise. And let's not forget that as human beings, we have a spiritual side. And science cannot really study that spiritual side, and therefore that comes under the realm of religion. And so what we need ultimately is a balance, a harmony between science and religion. Religion is going to give us a sense of meaning, of purpose, of direction in life. Whereas on the one hand, science can describe us as physical beings, as the matter that makes up our bodies, but science does not have a full answer for the human sense of self, of continuity, of ego, and the sense of importance, of self-esteem, and so on. These are all things that go beyond just the study of the physical components and actions and electrical activity within our brains. More to the point, science cannot give us a sense of meaning and direction. From a scientific point of view, we just happen to be here. Yes, the universe happens to be here. Things are evolving and changing for some reason. We don't know what. We just know that it's working like that. We know that things are evolving and changing. We know that from a scientific point of view that human beings are classified as among primates, and primates have a long history of evolution, and prior to primates we have these other sorts of creatures and so on. So we can trace the life all the way back to the origin of life to some 4.4 billion years ago on Earth, and then it stops there. But we don't know why it's happening. So science can tell us how the life is evolving, but cannot tell us why it is evolving. It is religion that tells us that, okay, God is using this whole process of evolution to create human beings for a certain purpose. And so our life has meaning. God created us to do something, to receive God's mercy, as we saw in a previous discussion. And by worshiping God, by aligning ourselves with God, we are going to receive God's mercy. So God created us to worship Him and thereby to receive His mercy, as we already explained. So now we have a sense of purpose. We have a sense of great importance of self-esteem for our human existence. Otherwise, from a scientific point of view, we're no better than the ant, because if what qualifies as a successful life is being fit for survival, perhaps the ants are better than us at surviving. From a religious point of view, we are told that God created us in His image, according to the Bible. And there is a hadith that also has a similar import. But more to the point, God tells us in the glorious Quran, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam. We have ennobled the children of Adam. And the Quran also tells us that some people, God has created us fi ahsani taqwim, in the best of posture. ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. And then we have returned them to the lowest of the low. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ فَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ مَمْنُونَ. Except for those who believe and do good deeds, for they will have a great reward in the life hereafter. So human beings then, being created either in the image of God, as the Bible says, or as indicated in the Hadith, or fi ahsani taqwim, in the best of molds, according to the Quran, and being created with dignity, according to the Quran, we have a sense of meaning and purpose and direction in life, because God created us for a purpose. And we have a sense of direction in that we know that this life is not the end of it. If we were just simply the materials that make up our body, if the science had all the answers for us, the only thing science can tell us is that we live and we die, and that's the end of us. But it is religion that teaches us about our continued existence after death, as we spoke about when we discussed the existence of the soul and the spirit of the human being. It is that soul and spirit that will survive. So that gives us a sense of direction in the future. So inherently, there is no clash between science on the one hand and religion on the other hand, but actually they go hand in hand as two rocks of the ages, the magisterium, the teaching authority of the religious bodies, and on the other hand, the rock of science, as Stephen Jay Gould so aptly put the matter. But more than this, when we bridge the two like this, we realize that the perception that there has been a clash between science and religion has to be done away with. So there have been times when, due to certain interpretations within religion, there was a rejection of scientific concepts. And on the other hand, due to a misperception about science's role, thinking that science must have a greater role than the science actually has, and thinking that science is the be-all and end-all for all of the explanations about human existence and purpose and meaning, that being so bloated, that has led to a misunderstanding and a clash between the two. But once we realize that science has a place and a limitation, and religion has a place and a limitation, we can treat the two as working in harmony together. Science will inform religion, and religion will guide science. And without the guidance of religion, science can be misused, technology can be used for good or evil. The knowledge that humans are developing can be used to produce much good in the future or much harm. And it is religion that will guide us to use our knowledge in ways that are moral, that are upright, that are ethical, and that are of ultimate benefit for the greatest number of people on our planet. There is no inherent clash between science and religion. Religion is not anti-science, but religion welcomes science. And when we talk about the religion of Islam in particular, we can go on and on about how the Quran welcomes thinking and reflection and traveling and examination and using the intellect and so on. But that would be the topic for another time. So I'm your brother in faith, Shabir Ally, signing off from the Muslim Media Hub. And here, did you know that today, being the 20th of the month of Ramadan, marks the end of the second third of the month? And that means that starting tonight, we are into the last third of the month. We're into one of the odd nights of the last 10 nights, that being the 21st night of the month of Ramadan. And this is one of those nights on which Muslims are going to be devoted in worship to hit the night which is referred to as the night of decree, Laylatul Qadr. And we want to be worshiping God at a time when God is forming his decrees and giving out mandates to the angels as to what is going to happen to us in particular and to the rest of the world for the year to come. So let us not miss the opportunity to worship on a night like this. And when you do pray for this humble servant as well. I'm your brother in faith, Shabir Ally, signing off, saying peace be with you and the mercy and blessings of God. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Muslim Media Hub, the new home of Let the Quran Speak.
Here we spread positivity and good. We help people experience the beauty of Islam and help them appreciate and understand Muslims.
This beautiful building we purchased at cost $2.3 million.
Yeah, we've already raised a third of that money, and with your help, inshallah, we can pay off the rest.
So we're looking for people who can give $1,000 each. If you can be part of the select group, that's amazing.
Otherwise, just please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help us continue this good work.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be a benefit to the Muslim community long after Safiya and I are gone.
Please support our work at muslimmediahub.com.
Your support is zakat eligible and tax deductible.
May Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.